What if the easiest kidnapping job of your life turns out to be a trap, not for you, but for the people who hired you? What if the child you were paid to guard is not a child at all? And what if, by sunrise, every single person in the room is going to regret the moment they decided to walk into that mansion? This is Abigail. It starts like a clean, simple job. A group of professional criminals, each with their own history of violence, desperation, and moral compromise, are brought together for one purpose: kidnap a wealthy man's daughter and hold her for ransom. No complications. No emotional attachments. Just money. The crew is carefully selected. A hacker, a medic, a driver, a muscle man, a former soldier, and a few others skilled in the art of coercion and survival. None of them trust each other, but they all understand the rules of their world. Do the job. Get paid. Disappear. The target is Abigail, the 12-year-old daughter of a powerful and mysterious figure named Lambert. She lives in a massive isolated mansion far from the city, surrounded by security and silence. The plan is straightforward. Break in. Take the girl. Wait 24 hours. Collect millions. Walk away. At least, that's what they think. The operation begins smoothly. The team infiltrates the mansion at night, bypassing security systems and guards with precision. Inside, the house feels strangely quiet. Too quiet. No servants. No family. Just shadows stretching across expensive furniture and locked corridors. Then they find her. Abigail is calm. Almost unnervingly calm for a kidnapped child. She doesn't cry. She doesn't resist. She doesn't even question what's happening. Instead, she looks at them with curiosity, like she already understands something they don't. The team assumes shock, trauma, maybe even intelligence beyond her age. They proceed with the extraction. But as soon as they leave the mansion and relocate to a secure, safe house deep in the woods, things begin to shift. Abigail is not afraid. Not even slightly. And that is the first real warning. At the safe house, tension builds among the kidnappers. Trust is fragile. Money is the only glue holding them together. Small disagreements begin to surface. Who gets what share? Who is actually in control? Who can be trusted if things go wrong? But Abigail remains the strangest variable in the room. She studies them. Observes their behavior. Asks unsettlingly precise questions. And then, she starts manipulating them emotionally in subtle ways, pushing buttons they didn't even know they had. One of the crew members becomes oddly protective of her. Another grows suspicious of her calmness. But before they can fully understand what's happening, the first death occurs. A brutal, sudden attack inside the house. Something is inside with them. Something fast. Something violent. Something that does not behave like a normal human threat. Panic spreads immediately. The kidnappers assume it is an external rescue operation or a betrayal from within the group. Guns are drawn. Accusations fly. The safe house, once a controlled environment, becomes a pressure cooker ready to explode. But Abigail still remains calm. And now, she starts revealing pieces of truth. Not all at once. Just enough to destabilize them. She speaks about fear differently. About hunger. About old rules. About things that should not exist in modern reality. And slowly, the horrifying truth begins to surface. Abigail is not a normal girl. She is a vampire. Not the romanticized version from stories. But something ancient, powerful, and predatory. And this kidnapping was never her capture. It was her feeding ground. The criminals were not the hunters. They were the prey brought directly into her territory. Everything begins to collapse at once. One by one, the crew members are hunted inside the mansion and surrounding forest area. The vampire does not move like a monster in movies. She is strategic. Intelligent. Patient. She studies fear the way others study mathematics. The medic tries to escape first, but is caught in the woods and taken down with terrifying speed. The driver attempts to flee in a vehicle, only to realize too late that the entire perimeter is compromised. The muscle of the group tries to fight back physically, believing brute strength can overcome anything supernatural. It cannot. Every confrontation ends the same way, dominance shifted instantly, violently, permanently. Meanwhile, internal betrayal becomes just as dangerous as the creature itself. Fear fractures the group. Trust disappears. Survival instincts override loyalty. And through it all, Abigail grows stronger. Because she has not been starved. She has been contained. And now she is free. As the night deepens, the remaining survivors begin to realize a horrifying pattern. Abigail is not randomly killing. She is controlling the pace of fear. She isolates, confuses, and dismantles people psychologically before finishing them physically. She turns the mansion and forest into a psychological maze. Every sound feels like a trap. Every shadow feels intentional. Every moment of silence feels like a countdown. One by one, the group is reduced until only a few remain. Among them is the hacker and one or two survivors who finally understand the truth. There is no escape route that leads out of this alive unless Abigail allows it. The final confrontation reveals everything. Abigail is not just a vampire. She is part of something much older, a system of power, legacy, and survival that predates modern humanity. Her father's identity, the mansion, the isolation, all of it was designed to contain what she is. But containment failed. And now she is no longer pretending to be a child. She is reclaiming what was always hers. The last survivors attempt a desperate resistance, combining strategy and force, trying to exploit weaknesses in her behavior. But the more they fight, the clearer it becomes. They are not fighting for victory. They are fighting for survival long enough to die on their own terms. In the final moments, Abigail fully reveals her power. The balance of control collapses completely. The remaining kidnappers are eliminated, not just physically, but psychologically erased by fear and inevitability. Only one truth remains intact. The job was never real. The ransom was never the point. The mansion was never a safe house. It was a feeding ground designed for chaos. And Abigail was never the victim. She was the predator in waiting. As dawn approaches, silence returns to the estate. Not peace. Not safety. Just the aftermath of something ancient doing exactly what it was built to do. Survive. Feed. Reset. Abigail remains alone in the ruins, not as a trapped child escaping control, but as something fully awake to what she is. The world outside will never know what happened inside that mansion. They will only see missing criminals, unanswered questions, and a story that makes no logical sense. But some truths are not meant to be understood. Only survived. Because sometimes the most dangerous monsters are not hiding in darkness. They are sitting quietly in the center of the room, waiting for you to believe they are innocent. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe to Movie Story Recaps for more intense movie breakdowns like this. Comment below which movie you want next. Because in our stories, the real horror always looks human.